I am sure you are in need of something to keep you warm with the cold weather we have had, the cold weather that is here, and the cold weather that will be, because we have highs next week. Yes, Monday and Tuesday in the teens. Those are highs, not your lows. So today we're going to work on a dip that is hot temperature-wise, and depending how you make it, could be a little hot when it comes to how it feels on your tongue as well. We're going to call it, in fact, it's a recipe I came across, so I want to take no credit for this, but I thought it'd be something you'd like to try out. It's called a hot cowgirl dip, and I thought that sounds interesting. Let's see what's in there, and it looked great, so that's why I've made it. I've got some already in here right now, so I'm double checking. So first things first, as a lot of dips are, it's got a cream cheese mixed in there, right? So I've already got my cream cheese in here, and I used about half of the block of cream cheese, which is about 4 ounces. I've already smashed it in there. The reason I'm smashing it already right now is I don't want to smash the beans and the corn that will be going in here later. So go ahead and have that at room temperature. What I like to do is actually I throw the block of cream cheese into my air fryer or to the oven, depending which one I'm using, and until it just gets very soft to the touch, it's done. You can take it and spread it very easily into your bowl. Ingredient-wise, let's go over to my board and show you what we have, because there's quite a bit over here, but nothing that is going to be weird to find at the store. So we're going to use tomatoes with this in two different forms. First off, I have some thick and chunky salsa, so that's going to be going in there, just a little bit of it. But I also did some canned tomatoes that are just diced on up, put them into my colander and drain the juice. Corn, but I decided to go with fire roasted corn to give it a little bit more flavor. Some garlic powder here. This is the salsa, maybe about half a cup of salsa. We have some black beans, open the can, drained them, didn't rinse anything off, by the way, just drained them. And then I bought a block of Colby cheese that you see there. Very, very good type of cheese to go with this. And you're going to actually have two things. There's some up here, and I'll explain why there's more up here later. A packet of whatever taco seasoning you prefer, and then some green onions, bacon bits, and then not candied, those are pickled jalapenos. So you can kind of put this together any way you want to, but there's a little bit of a technique that I've learned when making my own earlier with this, which I'll turn that off. That looks to be about done. Putting the cream cheese on the bottom and spreading it out. That would be the first step to go with. Then take your packet of your taco seasoning, whichever you prefer, whichever brand you prefer, we'll just dabble that right into there. And we're also going to add in those tomatoes as well. So what we're going to do now is add the cheese, lastly the other cheese, the cream cheese. And by the way, I like getting the blocks of cheese and grating it myself. That prevents it kind of really clumping together if it sits out on your counter for a while. I know the stuff that you can buy in the stores is pre-shredded for you, but that has a starch on it, which can really hinder it from melting when you put it into an oven or when you put it into a pan. If you're making, say, an Alfredo sauce with Parmesan, it just can sometimes clump together. Those starches don't like to let it melt. You don't get those starches with the block of cream, the block of cheese that you mix up or grate yourself. So now what I want to do is mix everything together so that we start getting the cream cheese onto the other cheese, onto the tomatoes, and of course getting that taco seasoning mixed in. Now earlier I mentioned you do this with what kind of heat you want. So when it comes to the taco seasoning, you can buy specific heats with it, right? Regular, mild, and also jalapenos. Do you want those in here as well? You want a lot of heat? Throw them in there. You don't want a lot? Don't put much in there. You want fresh jalapenos with the seeds and the membranes and some heat? You can use those as well. So now that I've got this really mixed up nice and even, as you see here, that's when we'll start adding the other ingredients. I'm going to add the corn in there, add as much as your heart desires. We'll go with about half a can there, and we'll go with about half of a can, at least for right now there, of the seasoned black beans. And then we're going to throw our salsa in there too. And then we're going to throw in the garlic powder. Now keep in mind that your taco seasoning already has the garlic powder to it, but nonetheless, I want to add just a little bit more in there. Then you stir everything together, but gently fold everything in. You don't want to smash your beans. Smashing the corn won't be too big of a deal, but you don't want to have smashed up beans. And so that's why I like to add those in last and give everything just a couple of stirs to make sure it's all nice and uniform. Ideally, if you have an iron skillet, that would be good to put this in, to layer it, smooth it off the top there with your spatula, and then put it into your oven at about maybe 300 to 375 degrees. And all you're waiting for is the cheese to get a little bubbly, maybe a little bit of brown there on the top. So that's kind of the consistency you're looking for right there. Nothing, you don't want it super runny, but you don't want it super stiff either, because you really want it to melt and be able to get that chip in there to make it a dip. So now what I have here is I've already got mine done, so I'm going to put the block out here for safety purposes, because this has been in my air fryer at 400 for just a little bit, in my little bitty skillet. Yes, good enough, I'd say, there for probably one egg perhaps. So there is the dip, already heated up and nice and browned and a little bit of crispy on top. But then for your presentation purposes, that's when you get just a little bit, maybe some bacon bits there on the top. You get some of that green onion on the top as well. We'll get a little bit more of that. Oh, by the way, if you want to save some tomatoes, you can do that as well, and put those kind of in the middle. Whatever you want to do here, this recipe just comes together whichever way you want it to. And then for heating purposes, so that you don't get a bite of heat every time you take a bite of this, you can just put the jalapenos, your pickled jalapenos, right there in the middle. We'll get one more on there to make it look really good. How about, come here, you. I want you over there. There we go. Just kind of put everything into the middle. Again, if you got some tomatoes left, you can do that. But there you go. There is your hot cowgirl dip, ready to go to heat up not only your mouth from the heat of the temperature, but also a little bit of spice mixed in there as well. I'll take it over to Ron, coming up next with my Henderson County Public Library oven mitt.